Namaste, friends. This is Aparna, and you're very welcome back to this series of My Mind, My Friend. If you haven't already seen the previous videos, then please click on the top corner of the screen and you will be directed towards those previous episodes. And in these videos and in these series, we are talking about mindfulness based approaches and mindfulness based practices. So, today's episode is particularly focused on discovering the roots of mindfulness or history of mindfulness. By no means I'm expert in history or tracing back the roots of mindfulness, but from my knowledge or my understanding, I will try my best to explain and trace back these roots as far as they go thousands of years ago. So, if we look at the timelines, the first timeline that we can relate to is about roughly 5,000 years ago. Yoga was practiced and discovered in India as a means of attaining higher level of consciousness. And whenever we talk about yoga, there is some element of mindfulness because yoga comes from Sanskrit word which means to unite, and it symbolizes the union of body, mind, and soul. And that is where we find the first traces of mindfulness. Then, moving on, 2500 years ago, Buddha rediscovered only one form of yoga and redeveloped into Satipatthana Sutta, which means moment to moment awareness. And then in 20th century, Vipassana meditation started to spread in Europe, and people all across the world started to practice yoga, meditation in one or the other form, and it started to kind of get known by general population. Then, only as recently as 1979, when Dr. John Kabat-Zinn himself went far east and learned about Buddhist meditation, and he practiced and mastered the art, and then he had to go back to University of Massachusetts, back to his patients, back to his clients, and he was professor of medicine. So he wanted to give something back to the community, to the patients, to the wider population, because he got that peace from practicing mindfulness meditation. And then 1979 is the time when mindfulness started to spread in America first and then in rest of the world. And that's why he's called father of mindfulness. So we will start with the first timeline where thousands of years ago yoga included mindfulness in some form. Maharshi Patanjali, he is called father of yoga. His Ashtanga yoga is practiced and known worldwide. Ashtanga literally means, Ashta means eight, Anga means limbs. So there are these 8 limbs of yoga, and anybody who practices yoga can achieve harmony between body, mind, and soul. And recognizing yoga's universal appeal, United Nations proclaimed 21st June as an International Day of Yoga. And it's approaching fast, so I urge all of you to practice yoga in one or the other form. If you can do some meditation that day, it's very special. It's very special day for all of us. So when we talk about these 8 limbs of yoga, the first one is yama. Yama means ethical standards, and niyam is the second limb of yoga, which means self discipline. And then we talk about asana means different postures of yoga, and yam, niyam, asan. Then pranayam means breath control. So what is breath? Breath is the life force energy. So practicing breath control is called pranayam. Then the next or fifth limb of yoga is pratyahara. Pratyahara means drawing attention inward. And then the next limb of yoga is dharana. Dharana means developing concentration of the mind. So we can say that mindfulness fits here somehow in dharana. And also in the next step, which is dhyana. Dhyana means uninterrupted flow of concentration. And then samadhi. Samadhi is literally a state of ecstasy, a state of bliss, which is very hard to attain. So the way these 8 limbs are designed, that the first 4, yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, if we build upon them, then they lead to the next 4 steps, which is pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So this is how I can relate mindfulness with yoga. And then moving on to the next part. And then the next timeline, 2500 years ago, when Buddha developed this practice called Satipatthana Sutta, or Sati, moment to moment awareness. If we look at the 4 noble truths, these 4 noble truths tells us a lot about how Buddha was like a physician, like a doctor. Yes. So if we look at those 4 noble truths, the first truth is truth of suffering. So like a physician, he gives us a diagnosis and he says that your problem is that you are suffering. And we all are suffering at one or the other time. Maybe not now, but at some stages of our life, we feel like we are suffering, even if we have everything. But still, there is this mental suffering, longing for something more, something more exciting. So the truth of suffering is the first noble truth given by Buddha. And then the second truth is the truth of the cause of suffering. So after giving the diagnosis, we are given the cause. Why are you suffering? What is the reason for suffering? And then the third truth is the truth of the end of suffering. Then Dr. Buddha says, calm down. There is a possibility that your disease can be cured. So there is a truth that your suffering can come to an end. And the fourth noble truth is the truth of the path that lead to the end of suffering, which means he does not leave you like this. He gives you a prescription. And on this prescription, he gives you name of those medicines that can cure the mental suffering. So in this noble eightfold path, it's majorly divided into 3 parts. The first part is good conduct. Good conduct means right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And then the second part is mental development. And in the mental development, there is right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And then the third part is wisdom, right attitude, and right view. So out of these eightfold path, as we see that the second part is mental development, and in the mental development, only one of the path is right mindfulness. So imagine only one part of this eightfold path, which is called mindfulness, has taken such a bigger form, and actually that itself alone is enough to end the mental suffering. Because once you start walking on this path, so even if you started with only mindfulness, you will end up including rest in your life slowly or gradually. So this is how mindfulness and Buddhism is related. But having said that, I would like to emphasize here that mindfulness is a secular practice and it does not belong to any religion. Anybody can practice mindfulness, because if you believe in breath, if you believe in being human, that means you can believe in mindfulness, because breath has no religion. And then coming to the most recent times of 1979, when Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, as I've already explained, that he's the father of the mindfulness, and he is the one responsible for bringing these practices from east to west and spreading it all across the world. And he's still working very hard, along with a lot of researchers, Buddhist monks, and proving with different researches that it is so effective that it is curing a lot of mental health issues, and it is making people's lives better every day. And in his career, he has trained a lot of professionals, including judges, business leaders, Olympic athletes, and employees in Google get regular training on mindfulness. So, with this note, I'm ending today's episode, Tracing the Roots of Mindfulness, and I hope you found this useful. If you did, then please let me know in the comment section below, and please like and subscribe if you would like to be informed about the new coming episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Namaste, and we will meet soon.